Recently I published a seed saving video, and what we have here, two of our carrots which we left for seed. I will link to the video in the cards and probably in the description as well if I don't forget. But yesterday we had a huge storm pass over here, very high winds and some rain, and those two carrots which we left for seed basically fell down and plopped out of the ground mostly. You can see that the root is deformed and partially rotten in this case, and the seeds, they are not all properly ripened. Those ones which are starting to fall off when I rub them with my finger like this, those are ripe, and those are not quite ripe, but sadly they don't get much more time. So what will happen now is that I will take those two whole plants and I will hang them to dry in the attic upside down, and I will put a piece of cloth below them, so if any of the seeds fall to the ground, we will collect them, and hopefully those seeds will be able to ripen and germinate next year, even though just the 4 seed heads here will be enough, or maybe 5 which are already ripe will be enough for us. But I always appreciate having more seeds to give away and to have some extra just in case. The second follow-up which I wanted to talk about for a minute is the cover crop winter rye which we seeded. I showed you in a recent clip how I scattered some seeds on this bed and most likely with straw, and you can see that already it has started germinating, and you can usually distinguish the winter rye by the reddish tint it has on the first leaves. You can see that they're slightly purple and then turning green. So those are just the first seeds that germinate here. I can see some bindweed poking through, but that will be very easy to remove from above without removing the mulch, and I'll keep you posted on the progress with that cover crop. And finally, a couple of my harvests today. The first is this bunch of Swiss chard, or silver beet I think it's also called. It will be cooked with rice for dinner. In this season the Swiss chard grows massively here very quickly. Those are maybe a week old leaves. There's plenty of moisture in the soil, the temperatures are lower, so it grows very well. And finally, I don't know if you can recognize those, but these are some horseradish roots. I harvested them today because now with the cooler time the leaves started dying back. Hi. Thought we're making a surprise appearance. The best way to use that is to peel them and then grate them, grate the whole root on a very fine grate, and then use a blender or an immersion blender and mix it with some vinegar and salt, so you get a kind of finer paste which is very pungent and quite hot, and it resembles wasabi, which is justified because the horseradish and the wasabi are in the same family. And this is the finished horseradish paste. I got about 400 milliliters of it. It has a paste-like consistency. It's very pungent, and it really lights up the sinuses. Just a couple of small details to note here. When I prepared the root for grating, I left the uppermost part of the root, which can be planted, and it will regrow from those from the crown of the root. So I'll be just planting those in the garden. I've seen this work on many occasions in the past. I have more horseradish plants started that way, but they're still small, first and second year. And the other detail is regarding the paste itself. When you're making this, be sure to work in a well ventilated area, because it can really sting your eyes. And also start by adding 2 spoons of vinegar and 1 spoon of honey at a time, and see which is the amount of the vinegar and honey which will be absorbed by the paste. I used an immersion blender, but you can use a regular blender as well. The idea is to not have free floating vinegar on top, and to have a thick paste. Also, I added some salt to taste, but that's purely optional. So I added a twist off cap on top of that, and I will store it in the fridge. It can last easily for 6 months, but we usually eat it in a few weeks, so I'll be making that all autumn. That was all from me, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.